when it comes to customer service English, the thing to remember is to be clear and to use phrases that are slightly less direct, generally, to make the person who you're explaining something to feel comfortable. Okay, so if you say to someone, I urge you to do this, I urge you to do this, or I'd like to urge you to do something, it feels that you're poking them with your finger. And that might be uncomfortable. If you say, I need you to do this, I need you to, I need you to open this and do that, whatever it may be, customer service is very broad. That feels like poking. If you say without please, if you just say, open this letter and tell me the code in whatever situation, that feels like a poke. That feels like I'm pushing you to do something. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like a command. So that's not so good, generally speaking, for customer service English. Now, there are more casual ways to say things. There are also more or less direct ways to say things. More or less direct? More or less direct, just less direct. There are less direct ways to say things. This is often good. Now, one basic way to do this is just to say please. Please push this button. Please open that. Please tell me. Or, even better, could you please? Could you please tell me that Or, could you tell me If you don't have please, at least have could there. That's fine. You could have please or could or both. Okay. Now, would you mind is a way to put it in terms of a question. Would you mind giving me the number on the back of the monitor? Would you mind telling me whatever it is? Would you mind is a great way to ask a question, to get information, to confirm something, to get something back from whoever you're talking to. This is not only useful in customer service situations, this is useful whenever you're requesting information, you need somebody to tell you something, and you don't want it to seem like you're hitting them over the head with a book or you're poking them with a stick. You want to avoid that. So you say, please, could you please, would you mind? These are fine. These are fine. Now, what about suggest and suggestion? Okay. Let me make a suggestion. Let me make a suggestion. So if we say suggestion, we have to be careful to put it in the right frame. If we say, my suggestion is to do this. My suggestion. It's all right. It's very clear. It can't be misunderstood, but it might feel sometimes a bit indirect. Notice I'm saying might, bit. These words also make things sound less direct, okay? So be careful with that one. My suggestion. But if you say, I would suggest, that sounds much softer. I would suggest that you call back tomorrow. I would suggest. Or, let me suggest that you call back tomorrow. Or, may I suggest that you call back tomorrow. Let me suggest. May I suggest. I'd like to suggest. All of these are fine. All of these are very good. All of these are natural, polite, and notice that they're a little bit longer. That's a common trend or theme in formal customer service request English. When we are asking something, we might add a bit to it, and often could and may and might and let me, rather than just my suggestion. Do this. Sounds like you're poking someone with a stick. Feels a little too straight. We don't want that. Okay. So that's the basic idea. Now, what about suggest as a verb? Okay. I suggest. Is that fine? Is it okay to say I suggest? Yes, I think that's okay. I suggest calling back tomorrow when we're a little bit less busy. I suggest. That sounds polite even though it's short. Okay, because it's a verb, it's a simple action. You're not giving a command. Suggest by itself, the meaning of the word suggest is sort of a relaxed thing. It's not like saying, I insist that you call back tomorrow. I urge you to call back tomorrow. Those two don't sound good, but suggest naturally is kind of an indirect word. It's giving someone something like, oh, you want this? You can have it if you want it, but you don't have to take it. So it feels pretty good. It feels pretty natural. Now, the last one, what about advise? Someone says, I advise you to call back. I would say instead of saying, I advise you, which is okay, it's fine, I would recommend saying, I would advise you. I would advise you to call back tomorrow when our office is a little less busy, and then we should be able to spend more time helping you with this issue. I would advise. I would recommend. You could say I would suggest. That is much better. Now you can shorten that to I'd advise, and it sounds direct, but it also sounds polite. It's indirect enough to not feel like you're poking the customer or whoever you're talking to with a stick, which is important, right? That's what we want to avoid. We want to avoid that feeling that we're poking someone with a stick. So all of these ways are pretty polite ways to express what you want to express. Note that when we want to say things a little more politely, we often use a bit. We're a bit busy in the office today, instead of we're busy in the office. We're very busy today. We can't talk to you. Today we're a bit busy. We're a bit behind schedule. I would advise you to call back tomorrow, and I think we should be able to help you out. Okay, a bit is a great phrase to use when you want to make something sound softer. So hopefully that is useful. And if you haven't already, guys, again, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe and check out my courses in the links in the description. And subscribe, even though I already said that. Subscribe.